Hi guys, welcome back. All right, Aries, let's go ahead and get into a storytelling that I like to do about once a quarter, where I ask what makes our character so attractive right now, and then who is attracted to our character. We have a Three of Pentacles. So Aries may be excellent at tile work, masonry work, bricklaying, construction, but more importantly, they're really good at collaborating. They're really good at diplomacy. I'm picturing somebody who works as a secretary right now at like some kind of a company where it's like I don't know why I feel like there's materials that have to be purchased and then redistributed, like a distribution center of sorts. And it's like people know Aries like voice on the phone, and it's like, oh, good, that you're my touchstone on this. I'm wondering when can we bring by the truck to pick this up, that up, and Aries just like they've got this ability to be that person who's really good at connecting things, keeping people like up to date on what's going on. They make transactions go smooth. I feel like this is in business. It's very attractive that Aries has this skill set where they are able to really communicate effectively and make everything go smooth. We have a Nine of Wands. Aries also has, I know this is maybe a weird one, but Aries has a certain, I'm not going to say gruffness, but right now the image that flashed into my mind was like Joan Jett. Okay, Joan Jett, terrific performer, super, just like she's so badass. She just has this allure. It's like everybody wants to be her when you see her on stage. She's just got this presence, right? And that awesome, rocker voice and stuff. And I just feel like Aries has some kind of like power to them that comes with a load of life experiences, many of which have not been good, but it made Aries real down to earth. I could picture, I know this is somebody dressed in a very like Victorian feminine way, but I keep picturing somebody in like black leather, still maybe uber feminine, but also with this edge, this badass edge. And I just feel like it doesn't make Taurus any less feminine. In fact, the juxtaposition could be even more like amazing. Or let's put this, if Aries was a masculine, let's say it's somebody who's got like a booming voice, kind of a gruff attitude, straightforward, doesn't waste a lot of words, but then you see that sitting, beside them is like some floofy cat, and like the cat just adores them, and you're like, oh wow, so you're kind of like matter of fact. You've lived through some stuff in life. You've got a life story. You've had some wounds, but you're still this blooming rose. There's something so sweet, and also just like thorns, on a rose bush. The roses are beautiful, but the thorns are definitely there. The Nine of Wands speaks of somebody who's had pain in their life, heartbreak, and yet they carry themselves still as like somebody who can handle it. They're not a tragic case. This could also be somebody who has like a physical disability, an ailment or something, and they handle it like a freaking trooper, And it's like, yeah, that's part of, my deck of cards that I got in this lot in life. But you know what? I'm still, showing up every day. I just feel like this, I have so much respect for this character. That's, I think, what I'm trying to get across. This is somebody who's like, there's this sexiness, this badassery, and this sense of like, wow, because I can see or understand that you have like this, you have a life story, but here you are still so beautiful. And that just makes you like gravitate toward this character. Like you want to be around this person, even if they're a little bit short with their words, a little gruff with their words. I could picture that somebody's got like a supreme potty mouth, but they don't like cuss people out. They just, they have a more colorful language. And even that is like, but it's not said with venom. It just makes them a little bit more like, I don't know. It gives our character a more well-rounded depth to them, if that makes sense. Sorry, no, that's a weird specific message. We have the Tower. There's our Aries. I definitely feel like this Aries has had tremendous success in their life, and they have also had things that they built go up in flames, go up in smoke. And yet what we have is obsidian. Okay, so this is what's in my mind right now. This is so weird to get so many images in my mind also. So if we have like a volcano that goes, obviously we have magma and everything, but we sometimes have those, basically like volcanic glass, those obsidian flows. And as they harden, we get these beautiful walls of obsidian, or these beautiful chunks of obsidian. I think there's some over in Yosemite that's like from 180,000 years ago or something. It is this huge, it has a name, I can't think of it right now, but it's this huge obsidian wall. And it was like a quarry for like the last 11,000 years. Like humans from all over in North America, you'll find pieces of the same obsidian that obviously nomadic humans from a very long time ago would collect those pieces, and it has deep meaning. Obsidian can be used in a lot of different ways. Sometimes they use it as tools. Sometimes ancient humans used it for like mirrors because it's highly reflective. It has like, some people apply a mystical property to it as well. But I just can't help but when I'm looking at this and I'm seeing this volcano blow, what I think is that Aries has had a life of extremes. They have had, maybe they've reached stardom and then the stardom collapsed. Let's put it in this context. Somebody is like an absolute, star athlete. They get into the big leagues and then they have an injury and that ends that career. But guess what? They already made their name. They made their mark. They hit the epitome of what they went out to do. And then life continues on. And it just feels like their name is respected and remembered. This is not, Aries is looked at as somebody who literally reinvents themselves, reaches incredible heights in whatever they do in life, has like their name could be on a placard somewhere. They've set a personal best or people remember them. It just feels like Aries life is one of like great importance, great power, and it lasts. Even if things in their life phases go in and out. Like this could be somebody who has like this illustrious career. Maybe they did like 4 different like really serious careers. Whatever. I worked for the FBI and I'm retired from that, and now I do this other thing. It just feels like this is a character who has had significant life experiences. And again, that quality of like, damn, you're like the real deal, or like Aries is a black belt, or Aries has done really impressive things in their life where people know that. And they also see this groundedness, and they also can see Aries has, ups and downs in life. But they handle all of it like, yeah, that's part of my life story. That's why I'm good at connecting with all kinds of people, because life can put you on a roller coaster. You're up, you're down, you're upside down. We've got this star card. Aries is always going to achieve in whatever avenue of life they're going to be the best. And I don't mean that they're like, oh, I have to be number one. I'm saying Aries has this way of excelling in anything that they do. It doesn't matter if they're an athlete, if they're a, Navy SEAL, if they're working as a secretary, they will always be the person. They're always going to be a star no matter where they are. That is just an element of who Aries is. And I think partly it's because of this no nonsense approach. Partly it's because there is something really special about this Aries. They are kind of one in a billion. This Aries gravitates toward things. Look at this. We got that Empress energy. This is Libra Taurus, by the way. We also had Aquarius in there. So this could be other placements in Aries chart. Aries has this tremendously brilliant brain. They have a capacity to learn anything. This Aries probably won't stay in just one career path in their life. They're not even supposed to. It would be too boring. This Aries, as much as it seems like, okay, so wait, they're going to rise to the top. And then, once they reach the pinnacle, then either something happens or they leave that and they go someplace else. Yep. And honest to God, I don't know that Aries would want it any other way. I think they'd be dull and bored if they didn't have the next mountain to climb. Change is permanent for this Aries. Their life continuously has these new vistas, new mountains. They have got such an amazing life story. This Aries has an incredible life story, or will continue to have more chapters of an incredible life that they can't even fathom how much bigger it's going to get. You notice how we are backloading this story. We started out with minor arcana. Now we're getting into the majors. So I kind of think the Aries life is about to take on some easier turns. We had some tough turns of events here, right? If you have a 9 of wands, you've had lots of wounds, lots of scars, lots of, troublesome moments, and even a life that had like some cataclysmic moment in it. But that was also the breakthrough. Now Aries is on this upward trajectory. And I'm wondering if it's because they are so skilled at this point. They've gone through so many of the lower points. I almost feel like we're dealing with an Aries who's like, their real success in career and life is happening to them like after 50. Like they're going to become so well respected. Like, you know how Bob Ross, I mean, I think everybody watched Bob Ross, in the 70s, but then like I was introduced to Bob Ross, long, long, long down the road, when I was like in my 20s, right? So like, well, I guess when I was about 15, so like 1995. And then there was this resurgence of Bob Ross and all kinds of, like the youth adores Bob Ross, like, nieces and nephews of mine that are literally, half my age or less than that became in love with Bob Ross. And I kind of feel like sometimes people become like national treasures, or they become that much more celebrated. And I feel like that is going to be Aries' life story. Aries' real successes and the wealth and the trajectory of their life gets better and better and better as they age beyond 50. That's really exciting. All of this, you notice how much more, I think somebody's aging really well too, really hot, really sexy. This could be a feminine who just looks more and more attractive as they age. This is going to be somebody that a lot of people find attractive, but are drawn to with this huge sense of kind of like, because I'm hearing like a little hush, like, hey, is that so-and-so? Like people asking, is that Aries? Okay, so who's attracted to Aries? An emperor. Aries is, for this story, it's very specific, but this Aries will find the love of their life in that second half of their life. Aries has I'll say an equally rugged, sexy, down-to-earth life experience. Like, I'm a professional when it comes to the art of living. That's who's in love with Aries. That's who Aries is meeting somewhere in the next 3 months, 3 days to 3 months. They could be a fellow Aries, though. Or there's somebody who, they don't have to be an Aries also, but man, they'd be a great match. But this person who's attracted to Aries, they see the matchup. They want to travel. They want to do something. They want to pick Aries' brain. They love Aries' mind. Again, I keep thinking, even if they're in the same age bracket, this masculine might look older than Aries does. Maybe he's worked, I'm picturing somebody who like has been out in the sun and the wind a lot. Maybe somebody who's been around the water. So their face has those gorgeous, I love wrinkles. I love, the faces that show like our life experiences. I think it's really, it's so much more interesting. So there's so much depth. And so I personally think he's about as hot as they come with, because you can see some lines. I know this, it's not easy to see here, but he's got some great, like smile lines, and he's got some worry lines, and he's got, just some things that show that he's been living. And I think that is a perfect match for this Aries. There's a huge amount of like, I'll say, like a power couple vibe coming off of these two. There's this, like this would be a duo who walks into a room and everybody knows like, oh my God, who are they? Like they look like a duo who, I guess it's kind of like a god and a goddess, finding each other. It doesn't have to be masculine and feminine. This could be same sex, reverse gender roles, does not matter. But there's something about the two of them, this level of like dignity and power that is definitely present. They are very attracted to this Aries. They have plans to be with this Aries, plans to travel with this Aries, maybe plans to move or ask Aries to move to be with them. We have London in here. They could be British. Aries is meeting their Two of Cups at this later stage in life. This is the person that's never going to leave their side. You know what? I loved this one. Aries, this was such a, I wish I could have found better vocabulary. It's very hard to describe a character who's got so much life experience and keep it succinct, you know. But beautiful character, beautiful upcoming power couple as well. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Lots of love. Bye.